Learn more at paulharrell.com. Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Now we're going to kind of do a rerun of what we did last week. We've got the chairman of the Baxter County Republican Party, Mr. Richard Castor, is back with us. Richard, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Paul. Happy Monday to you.
Yes, absolutely. Let's start. I want to get your take on what happened with the Supreme Court and what they did with President Trump's travel ban today, upholding a significant portion of it. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think it was a little bit of a mixed day out of the Supreme Court. This was one of the days where they dump a bunch of their court cases on us, and we have to kind of read through them. But that was pretty good, what they did. They reinstated most of it. And what was so dangerous about that was that the Constitution gives clear authority to the president to decide in matters of immigration who and how that people can come to our nation. And that's very just common sense constitutional law there. And what these liberal judges out in the Ninth Circuit court out in California were saying was that, well, because of Trump's rhetoric, before he signed this executive order, his rhetoric is what makes it unconstitutional, which is a standard that is, of course, has no basis in legal ease at all, and is something I think that was very dangerous if the Supreme Court were to hold that up, where if you said something wrong someday, any piece of legislation you passed or any executive order you signed in the future could be held to account to the words that you said before you signed it or passed it. So a very scary precedent that some of these progressive judges were trying to put on our law book, but it was a very good thing that the court unanimously rejected that. And another one, Paul, that came out today that I thought was very interesting, our friends up in Missouri, there was a Lutheran church who applied for a grant to build a playground for their community, and the state of Missouri said to the Lutheran Church, no, we're not going to look at you like a normal nonprofit organization. You're a church, so we're not giving you tax dollars. And this little Lutheran church said, no, we're going to sue you because that's just discrimination over us being religious. And the Supreme Court decided, a majority of them today, that a state cannot discriminate against a religious group on the basis that they are religious. So that is a wonderful thing. And I think the third one that's worthwhile to note is this one on gun rights out of California. It was Justice Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch were the only two who dissented. And it was over a sheriff in California who said, you're not allowed to carry your gun outside of your house. And it kind of tells us where Alito and some of these guys on the court who are supposed to be conservative, where they land when the going gets tough. And I think we can thank the Lord that we got Neil Gorsuch in, and hopefully Kennedy will retire soon, and we'll get another good justice in there, and we may have some happy days ahead. Yeah,
there's some reports Anthony Kennedy considering retiring. I know that's, that would be huge. I know that's got liberals, I know that's got Democrats really worried because,
he would never be invited. He wouldn't be invited to another cocktail party in D.C. for the rest of his life if he did that right now. But
because if you're looking at Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's not going to be on the court in 8 years. I think that's a very safe thing to say.
Correct.
And so potentially Donald Trump with Anthony Kennedy, if the rumors are true and he does retire, you're looking at Donald Trump being able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. And really tilt the court to the right.
And if he picks them like Neil Gorsuch, then we're going to have some very good days ahead. Yeah. And there's been some court cases decided that haven't made a lot of news, but if you read what Gorsuch has been saying in them, there's been 3 specific ones. He's very much a textualist, very much a constitutionalist, and someone who is interpreting the law as it's meant to be written, and is saying, no, it's not the court's job to reinterpret these laws for Congress. Mm-hmm. It is Congress's job to write the laws. It's our job to figure out if they're constitutional or not. We can't sit here and rewrite all this legislation just because we don't like it or we don't think it works well. And he and Clarence Thomas have consistently been the only two to stand up and say that in this season of the court. And, what a breath of fresh air. I think we were all a little bit afraid that he may not follow through with all the hype about him being so great, but so far he has not disappointed. So if Trump can pick a few more like him, it will be a very good day for America.
I want to shift gears here. Again, we're talking with Richard Castor. He's the chairman of the Baxter County Republican Party or committee. And then you have also, he's a radio host. He does a show called The View from Hillsdale on Mountain Talk 97.1, and you can get that online, correct, Richard, if there are other people that want to listen to what you do? Okay.
MountainTalk97.com.
There you go. And they've got a great on-demand selection there. I really encourage you guys to check that out. I want to shift gears to health care. Our whiteboard today for the week says repeal Obamacare now. There have been countless
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Paul, and you have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine. We want you to be a part of that machine, and one of the ways you can do that is to call us or text us. The number 870-275-9799. On the show today, we've got for you this segment. We're going to be talking again, kind of rehashing some numbers, but it's some interesting Twitter activity from the Arkansas Center for Research in Economics. We'll be talking more on the size of Arkansas government compared to other states. Also, the Marketplace Fairness Act. Now, the Marketplace Fairness Act is just the internet sales tax, but from a national standpoint. It's one of the techniques that is used to grow government, where they try to prove, it's a false proof, what the people really want. And so if enough people who have government interests make noise and they start passing an Arkansas sales tax law for the internet, and then Missouri, they pass their sales tax law for the internet, and then Arkansas businesses have to know what the Missouri law is and vice versa, and you have this patchwork of laws. Then eventually, with their mismanagement, with their bad ideas, they'll beg the federal government to come down and do it for them. And the Marketplace Fairness Act is that solution. It's a uniform code that would just go over the entire United States. Very similar to the dysfunction of Obamacare. It operates under the false proof premise as well, because now Obamacare's made everything so terrible, so unaffordable. Now we're hearing, oh, well, we just need Medicare for all, which is a single-payer health care system. It's just a complete joke. So we'll talk about the Marketplace Fairness Act. At 5 o'clock, we've got a great interview with Mr. David Crow checking in, giving us another update on the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. Now, I want to tell everybody out there, if you're one of these guys and you just don't think that you're going to have a Saturday free, look, I get it, but you really need to seriously consider the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. Liberty Doesn't Matter. It's their third annual convention coming up September the 16th from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the Robinson Center, and it's going to be great. In the new ballroom there, looking over the Arkansas River, the Doubletree Hotel. Look, you don't have to have ever gone to a Tea Party meeting to attend this event. If you are a limited government conservative, and if you're listening to this program, odds are you are, come to this event. I will be there. There will be a vast there'll be a good size group of other conservative organizations there as well, so please come there. And then lastly on the program, we'll probably get to this around 5:30, eating cheese, according to some, that's right, cheese, delicious, melty cheese, is apparently sexist because of cow rape or something. Yes, I know. It sounds crazy, but these liberal the same liberals that are, firing conservatives from Google are the same ones that probably support PETA and these outrageous accusations that you can't eat cheese because it's sexist. That means if you're a man and you eat cheese, you're sexist to the, I don't know. It's like it's an exponent at that point. You're sexist to the second power. 870-275-9799. So there's a guy who works over at the Arkansas Center for Research and Economics, and his name is Jeremy Horpendahl. There's also Jacob, let's see here. Jacob Bundrick as well. Now, I have already booked Mr. Jacob Bundrick as well as Jeremy Horpendahl on this program for next Wednesday. We're going to have them answering questions about the size of Arkansas government, really as it's related to spending, because I understand they have a new paper that's either out already or is about to be out. And I want time to digest the paper, first of all, but I want to bring you guys some news that you're not going to get too many other places. And so the full hour on next Wednesday, the full hour from 4 to 5, we'll have these two gentlemen on. It's going to be a great time. But some familiar numbers here that have been circulated on Twitter, and I saw that Jeremy Horpendahl on Twitter went ahead and retweeted this from Mercatus. Scroll up there. What does he actually say? If we can see this tweet. Arkansas spends a lot more at the state level than competitor states. Part of this is driven by more centralized spending. And then, of course, there you see, these are numbers that we have shown you before, thanks to the guy that we're going to be interviewing at the top of this hour, which is Mr. David Crow. Okay. We have, let's see here, Arkansas spending $7,674 per capita. Now, you compare that with other southern states. Mississippi spends $6,198. Louisiana spends $5,867. Oklahoma, $5,771 per person. Let's see, you get Virginia at $5,508. Alabama. Now, a lot of the Virginia numbers they have so much of the Washington, D.C. wealth that is actually our wealth. So you can't really put them into the same category. Alabama, $5,148 per person. Tennessee, $4,688. That's our neighbor. They're spending $4,688 per capita per person to fund their government. And Arkansas, little old Arkansas, don't lie to yourself, folks, and just think that because you elected Republicans that now all of a sudden we're conservative. We're spending $7,674 per person. And I'll tell you something else. That comes out to an average of about 40% larger than every state that touches ours. It's a complete embarrassment. I know we've been over some of these numbers before, but I saw them being recirculated, and it's really fascinating. Look at Texas, 4,086. Look at Missouri, another border state, 3,822. Specifically with Arkansas, you're looking at an average of 5,072. Okay. And then, of course, we're at 7. I'm sorry. No, that says average border states. Okay, so the average of... Okay, here it is. The average of all of these states on the screen that you see at paulharrell.com, Facebook, or YouTube is 4,815. That's the average of all of them except Arkansas. Except Arkansas. If you average our border states, they're at 5,072. Again, we're spending $7,600 a person Our border states on average are spending $572. Unbelievable. The lack of reform is a complete embarrassment. It really is. But, oh, man, this next slide is even worse. Take a look at this graph. You may have to move my photo, or just take me off the screen. Just take me off the screen here for a second. Look at this. This is crazy to me. This is a figure. It's a graph. It's Arkansas state government expenditures per capita from 1951 to 2013. And it looks like a mountain. For those of you that can't see this, essentially is a mountain. It's unbelievable. They even got it broken down into highways. Do you see the yellow there? Or that's more of an orange. Do you see that? Look at our highway spending out of all of that. Look at our welfare, mostly Medicaid. That is an embarrassment. Look at all this. Look at the black part, the interest, including interest on our debt. I mean, and then look at that, health and hospitals. Wow, do you see the little purple? Is that purple? What is that? Brown. Sorry. You see the brown there? It's right beneath the orange on this graph. It looks like a Himalayan mountain. Okay. Health and hospitals, that's what we're spending. I mean, it's such a small amount, actually, compared to the rest of these things. And these were the guys that were complaining about how they had all this uncompensated care and it's not fair and everything else. And yet we decided to spend all this money, new money, on Medicaid expansion just so they could solve a little $150 million a year problem. So it's a $2 billion program. And we're spending it's a $2 billion a year program that we're spending to fix a $150 million a year program. It's pretty pathetic. Look at that. That's crazy. It just grows, and grows. What does the tweet say, Joe? Does the tweet say anything up there at the top? Or is it just the photo? Oh, no. So Arkansas state government, this is Jeremy Horpendahl. We're going to talk to him, I believe on Wednesday. Or Jacob Bundrick. Arkansas state government spending has increased dramatically over time. Yes, population and inflation adjusted, roughly double 1991. So let's just forget the 1951 to 2013. Let's just think of 1991 to now. And here's the sad part. Arkansas state government expenditures per capita. Expenditures. We're talking about spending. Here's the real sad part about this. It cuts off at 2013, right as the slim Republican majorities come in the House and the Senate. And it has done nothing but go up, even with massive Republican majorities in the House and the Senate, and a Republican governor who has now been through 2 regular general sessions. And yet that orange, that spending, this whole thing has now increased because Governor Hutchinson increased spending $133 million his first year. He increased spending $142 his next year. He increased spending $165 this coming fiscal year. Some of those have been backed off because he cut here, cut there, but still he is increasing. He's not ever actually cutting, okay? If he does cut, he cuts from the increase, and then he adds it back later, which is what we saw him do the last 2 months. Let's go to the next slide. What do we have next? These are interesting, very, very interesting. Okay, let's get a zoom in here. This is something that nobody wants to talk about. This doesn't really have much to do, well, it has everything to do with the government, but not necessarily comparing it to spending, if you will. Although something tells me if they are going to cut prisons and keeping people locked up where they need to belong to keep us safe would be the first place they would start. Recidivism. The recidivism rate for the total population base. This is interesting. Look at this. Look at these statistics. What does the tweet say? Scroll over the tweet. Arkansas has the highest recidivism rate among the 15 southern states. Something we need to work on. This is, I believe, State Representative Jeff Williams State Representative Jeff Williams from, Springdale, he's going to be on the show on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Look at that. Arkansas, 51.8%. By comparison, Alabama, 30.9%. Think about that. What else do we have? Let's see. Georgia, 26.4%. Texas, 21%. Anyway, it's fascinating stuff. What about the next slide? Let's go to the next one. Disparity between... Let's see, go up. This is State Representative David Makes. Okay, disparity between Medicaid growth and state revenues. Look at this graph. This is incredible. This is terrifying, actually. Do you see this? Unsustainable Medicaid path, states and local governments. Scroll down. Let's see this. You have the bottom line. Keep going. Although I want to see this. Keep going. Okay, scroll back up because. Okay. Oh, yeah, there we go. Revenues. So you have revenues versus the social benefit payments to persons, predominantly Medicaid. You see the expenditures increasing and the revenues flatlining. Do you see that there? How the revenue, the expenditures is just going up, and up, but the revenues are just not being able to keep up with this. Yeah, that is a very, very terrifying graph right there. You can watch us live at paulharrell.com, Facebook Live, YouTube, but certainly tune in if you want to go back and see some of these graphs and photos later. Or you can go to Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at paulharrell1776. I've retweeted many of these graphs, many of this information. I know, folks, I know we've talked about it before, but, folks, I'm telling you, it's a huge story because I tell you this much. There's a lot about conservatism that, some people have their pet peeve issues, this, that, and the other. Some of it's social issues, some of it's, economic issues. But do you know in my opinion, from a conservative standpoint, on the tree, social issues are low-hanging fruit, but the lowest hanging fruit that's actually, a little bit more challenging to get, but I feel like most average Republicans or conservatives or people who call themselves, whatever, they think that the Republicans stand for getting spending under control. I mean, they've preached about it forever. Of course, they've also preached about repealing Obamacare. We see how that worked out. Point is, this stuff, I think, really resonates with people because you have to live within your means, but we don't have to live within ours. It just doesn't make sense. And future generations living high on the hog at the expense of those who have nothing to do with it, but they're going to inherit something that's much, much worse is not right. I mean, it's a moral issue at that point, which is probably why it kind of is in the middle of this tree of issues, because it's closer to a social issue when you really boil it down. 870-275-9799. We'll be back in just a moment. Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org, and stand up for small business in Arkansas.
In Arkansas, every single hour there is a politician not getting what they want. For some, it's an absolute nightmare. The sleepless nights wondering if progress will ever come. Lying awake pondering how to grow government in this political climate. asking questions like, why don't my constituents want to pay a few cents more in taxes? Everyday politicians feel abused and neglected. These politicians are starving for power. They're hungry, confused, and they don't understand why no one seems to care. Will you be a patriot and commit today to help these poor, starved for power public officials? It's simple. All you have to do is commit to stay silent and never dissent or stand in the way of your politicians' rise to power. Never speak up or get engaged to stop the growth of government. By committing to these simple steps, you will ensure the life of your politician will be filled with contentment and the respect they are desperately seeking, as well as campaign contributions from lobbyists.
This message brought to you by Aristocrats Serving Arkansas.
PHP Parody. Broadcasting across Arkansas and holding politicians accountable for what they say and do. The Paul Harrell Program.
Yeah, real quick here. Senator Tom Cotton, Senator David Perdue, still moving forward with this immigration plan, the RAISE Act, which is great. I've said it's, I think, Tom Cotton's greatest moment so far in the Senate, or one of his greatest. It's really, really cool to have that kind of representation that's actually bold and conservative, and yet many rhinos and many people who just refuse to accept the election results. I mean, they're Republicans, and they just refuse to accept the election results of Donald Trump in terms of the reality and what that means to how it is possible to get political power in this country, in the highest office in the land. But before we get to that, I mean, this is Tom Cotton in USA Today and David Perdue. It makes no sense to stick with 50-year-old immigration laws. Let's finally bring them into the 21st century. They write, President Trump got big applause last week during a speech in Ohio when he called for fixing our immigration system. Instead of a terrible system where anybody comes in, the president advocated for a merit-based system, one that protects our workers and our economy. According to polls, most Americans agree with him, but our outdated immigration laws do the opposite. The basic principles of those laws haven't been changed in over half a century, making them divorced from the needs of our economy, while also depressing working-class wages. That's why we've introduced the Reforming American Immigration for a Strong Economy Act, which updates our immigration laws to attract more ultra-high-skilled workers and give working-class families the raise they deserve. It's pretty simple. I mean, and there are other countries that do this too. If you want to go there, you don't have a right to go there, just like people don't have a right to come to this country. They don't have a right to come to our country and benefit from our wealth or benefit from our prosperity. If you want to go to Australia, you got to have a skill. If you're going to get let in, they're going to want you to do something that contributes to their society. It is not too much to ask for us to put similar restraints so you don't show up and immediately go on welfare. That's why we want you to go ahead and have skills. We want you to go ahead and have a job, and we want to know how much you're going to make at that job. It's very common sense stuff, and yet you get Marco Rubio, who in a Washington Examiner piece, he compares the Tom Cotton, David Perdue, Donald Trump immigration bill to being similar to his Gang of Eight bill. I'm sure he wants to think it's similar to his Gang of Eight bill. I'm sure Marco Rubio wants it to be, but the fact of the matter is, 4 Democrats supported the Gang of Eight bill for good reason, because it was something they wanted. And yet, Marco Rubio stops short of endorsing this new RAISE Act, so it's not really like the Gang of Eight bill because he'd support that. Quote, I don't want to limit legal immigration. I certainly want to change the way we conduct it. Where I probably have a big difference of opinion with this bill is that it sets an arbitrary cap on the number of people that are able to come through with a green card. So Marco Rubio doesn't agree with this concept that we scale back the number of people that come in every year to try to affect the labor force and the labor market. We got to go. Back in a minute.
So you've cut back on everything.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Elections, countless politicians in the Republican Party who have won power because of Obamacare being such a disaster. I mean, you can go down the list of how many lies that were told to pass it. You have the folks who crafted it saying that the stupidity of the American people, lack of transparency. You're talking about Jonathan Gruber, how what they had to do to get it passed, and no one can afford to pay their health premiums. I mean, it's practically this has been a complete disaster. It was a redistribution of wealth scheme. Now we have the Senate trying to do something. We have people saying, "Look, this is not really a repeal, though." What are your thoughts on this, honestly, Richard Castor?
Well, I think there's two conversations to be had here, and one is what are our principles as American citizens when we talk about health care? What do we see the role of government being in the discussion of health care? And I think you and I could sit down and we could have a whole 3-hour show on, why health care is not a right and how we got to a place in American society where if you're sicker than a healthier person, then the sicker person should pay more. That shouldn't be controversial. Right, that should just be common sense. But we've gotten to a place where that statement now, where if you're sicker than somebody else, you pay more, that somehow that is an offensive thing to say. So I think we got to understand we can talk about our principles, we can talk about what should be, but then we also have to have the discussion of what can we do right now. And I've been listening to Mike Lee and Rand Paul on this, and kind of what they've been saying is that this bill will reduce taxes $1 trillion over the next 10 years, which is great. We love that. But it's not reducing the spending of Obamacare. It's not truly affecting what is making the premiums go up, what's making it so hard for us all to afford our health insurance. And so I think that's a tremendous problem with the bill. And then today, you were texting me about this a few minutes ago, Mitch McConnell, in a last-ditch effort to save the bill, has put a section in it that will allow, and listen to this wording, the federal government will allow insurance companies to penalize people for not being insured for something like, 67 days, something like that. Yeah. If you reach that milestone, the insurance company may penalize you. So it's not the federal government doing it, but it's the federal government telling companies what they can and cannot do, which all of history in this great country of ours, and you go back to Woodrow Wilson and FDR and all these progressive presidents, every time the federal government tells a business what it can and cannot do, prices go up. And then to translate that to healthcare, premiums will go up. Your bills will go up. Yeah. And so I think this is Mitch McConnell trying to save it, trying to fill that loophole of cutting taxes and not reducing all the costs. But if I'm sitting in the Senate today, I don't think I vote for it. I think you hold out for a better bill to actually repeal this dang thing.
I think you're right, and I'm really glad to hear you say that. This idea of the individual mandate, to me, was one of the key things that it's just quite frankly immoral that we're going to say, hey, you have a beating heart in your chest, and so you owe the government money in the form of an insurance policy. That's essentially what they're saying, and I understand. The way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Senate plan removed the individual mandate, but now this is kind of a way to put it back in because
fighting dependency on government so Arkansas can be the land of opportunity once again. Paul Harrell is on now.
Some of these government numbers that we went over last segment. I do have a text message. We have Scott and Marmaduke. Paul, I've lived in Arkansas my whole life, got 5 years till retirement, looking at Alabama or Tennessee to move to. They don't tax Social Security or private pension funds, no state income tax. Yeah, well, that's what you're up against. I certainly can't blame you. Can't blame you for going to an environment that is that has policies that respect you more as a citizen. Meaning, why would they want to take more of your money when government tends to not spend it efficiently anyway? There's a level of respect when you have policies that really start from this idea that the government itself doesn't exist without you existing, without you paying the taxes that you already pay, the consumption taxes or what else. But literally, I was listening to an old interview I did with Senator Scott Flippo, and he was saying, how bad is it going to get? It's going to get so bad that Little Rock just asks us all to send our checkbooks, just send it all down, and when they are done with it, we'll see how much is left over. Maybe they'll let us keep some. See, that's the mentality that, and by the way, we'll be talking to Senator Scott Flippo on Thursday. That's the mentality that is just, it's going to produce an environment that's oppressive to small business, that's oppressive to people who are, who want to own their small business, who want to start a business, who want, we got to have less regulations. We got to have tax policy that makes sense, and we can't do that if we're spending $7,000 a person and the states around us are spending $5,000. That's a huge issue. That's a huge problem. And, but you don't see them calling a task farce on that, do you? No, they're calling a task force on how to make us all think that our taxes have been lowered while they do everything to protect the current revenue stream, the current level of revenue, and in reality, they're going to try to figure out how to get more of it so that they can spend more on us. If $7,000 is great, and in their mind it is, why not $10,000 per person? Again, the telephone number, 870-275-9799. Speaking of more money, there's an excellent post by a friend of mine, by the name of Lane Scott. And I understand that he got in the Russellville publication. This story was pre-printed in the Russellville publication. Is that the Courier? I think that's what it is. Out-of-state internet sales tax is not fair or free market. Specifically talking about the Marketplace Fairness Act. Lane Scott, he says the MFA, the Marketplace Fairness Act, is unfair. With its misleading name, the Marketplace Fairness Act fits the stereotype of political shenanery that promise one thing and deliver the opposite. Quote, fairness, end quote, requires local taxes to be paid for by local businesses who benefit from the local infrastructure, such as police, fire protection, water, and sewer. Businesses in another state do not directly benefit from local infrastructure and should not be required to pay for it, but the Marketplace Fairness Act mandates it for online out-of-state businesses. Since these companies have no voice in local politics, the Marketplace Fairness Act amounts to regulation without representation. It is also unfair to force online businesses to collect sales taxes from all of their customers based on their residence while not requiring brick-and-mortar businesses to do the same. The Marketplace Fairness Act takes more money from taxpayers and grows government. The focus may be out-of-state retailers, but it is consumers who will pay for the taxes. The National Council of State Legislators claims that it would extract $23 billion in new tax revenue. Wow, $23 billion. This explains why those responsible for local, state, and national government tend to like the Marketplace Fairness Act. More money means that politicians have to make fewer tough spending choices and could continue to grow government. Only for a time, though. Only for a time, because even if they get this money, they will come after more of it. It's inevitable. Marketplace Fairness Act is illegal, Lane Scott writes. In 1992, the U.S. Supreme Court case Quill Corporation versus North Dakota, Quill was a catalog mail-order retailer who had no physical presence in North Dakota. Using a proper application of the Commerce Clause, the court correctly ruled that states cannot require retailers to collect state tax unless that business has a physical presence in the state. Today's politicians, eyeing internet sales as an untapped revenue stream, portray this case as being outdated and call the physical presence requirement a loophole. But out-of-state mail-order sales is not substantially different from out-of-state internet sales, and the physical presence is a clear standard that prevents states from overreaching in their tax collection authority. I'm going to pause here because I remember when Governor Asa Hutchinson came out in support of the national internet sales tax. We used to tell you this a whole lot. This was back before the session. He's quoted in I think at least one publication, maybe more, saying he supports the Marketplace Fairness Act. He supports the Congress passing an internet sales tax. This is all, a year or so ago. This was all foreshadowing what was to come. What we've just had to ward off, had to play defense on in the General Assembly. And I just find it interesting when I criticized him. The ASA defenders on Twitter and the echo chamber, they criticized me of wanting the governor to do something unconstitutional. As a matter of fact, somehow through Asa Hutchinson's connections, there was a Daily Caller article written about how great Asa was and how constitutionally minded he was. This is all coming back to me now, as Celine Dion says, how constitutionally minded he was by asking for the national sales tax. Am I remembering that right? Because if I remember that correctly, that would mean that if you go back and look at previous statements from Asa Hutchinson, he's really just blown up any support he should have had for Senator Jake Files' bill, SB 140, which is the unconstitutional effort. Is that right? That can't be right. Hang on a second. Joe, I'm almost certain it was a Daily Caller article. Okay, the Daily Caller, and it was about Asa Hutchinson, and it was about him being pro-Constitution. I can't believe. Yeah. So here, this is just all coming back to me now, though. Okay, so tell me if you find it. So the Marketplace Fairness Act, it's important to point out, would be constitutional. I'm not disputing that. This would have been last year sometime. This would have been on the heels of Asa coming out and saying he supports the Marketplace Fairness Act, meaning the entire, the Congress to decide, right? There would be nothing unconstitutional about that. I'm not arguing that. I'm simply remembering that there was a very favorable article written about Asa soon after he came out talking about how pro-Constitution he was because the state does not have the power to do what everybody down in Little Rock just tried to do. And this just can't, I just remembered this. So it was either the Daily Caller, it might have been Town Hall, it might have been a townhall.com, I can't imagine it, but it might have been. And I just remember thinking, wow, I was like, who in the world decided to write such a specific article about Governor Asa Hutchinson in a national internet publication? It's strange, very strange. Picking back up with Mr. Lane Scott's piece. $23 billion in new tax revenue, continue to grow government. So the Marketplace Fairness Act is illegal. Oh, I see. So the Marketplace Fairness Act, this is a publication that's, okay. So the Marketplace Fairness Act would not be illegal because the Congress could do something and basically say, we're passing a national tax, which Congress has the authority to do. I see what. I'll find it during the break. If we just keep looking for it, if you can. But if not, I'll try to find it during the break. Okay. So it goes on. Using a proper application of the Commerce Clause, the court correctly ruled the states cannot require retailers to collect state tax in the business of physical presence of the state. Today's politicians eyeing internet sales as an untapped revenue stream portray this case as being outdated. Physical presence. Okay, we read this already. The Commerce Clause was intended to prevent states from imposing taxes on goods coming into their states, while the MFA would essentially promote such protective tariffs. Again, I believe the Marketplace Fairness Act, though, if we're looking, it actually is just going to be a national sales tax on the internet, right? But what the states are doing, what Arkansas just tried to do, is unconstitutional. Jake Files' bill SB 140 would try to tax other states. It would essentially try to rewrite the jurisdiction Arkansas has in other places. But I do like this next part here, that the Marketplace Fairness Act violates the 2016 National Republican Platform because it promises, quote, "We will consistently support internet policies that allow people and private enterprise to thrive without providing new and expanded government powers to tax and regulate so that the internet does not become the vehicle for a dramatic expansion of government power." A lot of Arkansas Republicans just said, I don't agree with that. The Marketplace Fairness Act is corporatism and will benefit large retailers like Walmart. It's often claimed that we need the MFA to save mom-and-pop stores. This claim is transparently false, since it is Walmart and the large chains who are killing small businesses. To the extent that this is simply the free market at work providing goods that consumers demand at best prices, we can accept that. But Walmart already has a physical presence in all the states, and they sell online. Therefore, Walmart already collects sales tax from all of their U.S. customers. These facts mean that the MFA is not aimed at Walmart and other large retailers, but at protecting large retailers from their smaller competitors in states where those businesses have no physical presence. You see what this is? Really good stuff here. Marketplace Fairness Act is opposed by conservative and freedom-loving groups. It is opposed by Americans for Tax Reform, the Heritage Foundation, Heritage Action, National Taxpayers Union, the Competitive Enterprise Institute, FreedomWorks, Americans for Prosperity, the Cato Institute, Eagle Forum, the R Street Institute, Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity, the Conservative Caucus, the Center for Individual Freedom, the Campaign for Liberty, the Paul Harrell Program, and Conduit Media. Again, good piece. This is Lane Scott. It's been posted on Facebook, been shared a few times. But I got a text message the other day with a photo of this that had appeared in a local paper. And so I thought I'd give a little attention here and just give you some other people's take on this. And of course, there are great resources on this potential tax increase over at conduitforaction.org, and there is still talk of a special session. We have the municipalities across this state that are going against the will of the people's representatives down in Little Rock who defeated this tax, and the city councils across the state are now passing resolutions asking Governor Asa Hutchinson to call a special session so that he can take more money from us. And that's really what this amounts to. Of course, a little exercise in logic, the fact that Amazon has already started collecting sales tax voluntarily in the state of Arkansas and has a 40% market share, and they've been collecting now for 3 months. You would think that mom and pop businesses, according to their argument, would see their business increase dramatically, and yet it hasn't, and that's because a tax is not going to save mom and pop businesses, not going to save brick and mortar businesses. People are going to pay it. The government knows this. It's about government money. The internet is fantastic. It's awesome, and it's very convenient. And people are going to continue to shop at with very convenient options out there for them. And that's really what this is. We're going to take a break. You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program. Back in a moment.
Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
Who's next to Zipline?
Me, and I'm really excited about this.
Sir, I'm sorry. The Zipline has a 350-pound weight limit, and frankly, I do not think it would be safe for you.
Oh, that's okay. I self-identify as 180 pounds, so it's cool.
Sir, that doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm afraid we can't let you ride the Zipline. You're too heavy. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this. I thought we had evolved as a society. I thought this was America, but I guess this is just my plight. First slavery, and now fat shaming.
Sir, again, I'm really sorry.
You listen to me. If you don't let me ride, not only will I sue this company for discrimination, I will sue you for damages because right now my feelings are so hurt and I feel embarrassed because I'm holding up the line.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Watch it, mister.
Look, okay, I'm sorry. I just don't think it would be safe for you.
You don't understand. I self-identify as skinny. So you have to let me ride the zip line. The Constitution says so. I get to define my own reality.
Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. Whatever. Ride the zip line. Mike, let this man ride the zip line.
Thank you. Now watch as my self-identity trumps your bigotry. See you on the other side, racist. Here I go! Doctor, thank goodness. What's the prognosis?
Sir, we've done everything we can, and you only have seconds to live.
No, you cannot say that. I do not self-identify as a dead person.
PHP Parody.
All right, I got a correction to make. I just found it. I found the article I was referencing. Hang on a second. We're going to get this music out of here. So it wasn't the Daily Caller article. It was redstate.com. Red State, a guy by the name of Neil Stevens, back on June the 8th of 2016, more than a year ago, after Asa Hutchinson had come out and supported a national internet sales tax in the papers. I criticized him, other people criticized him, and then out of the blue, redstate.com decides to write an article praising Asa Hutchinson for, quote, respecting the Constitution on sales taxes. And people tried, and on Twitter, I remember it because people were criticizing me. They were upset that I was criticizing him. They were saying that I wanted them to act, unconstitutionally, which, by the way, the constitutional way for the state of Arkansas to collect sales tax on out-of-state internet companies is to collect the use tax that we owe in the state of Arkansas that none of them really want to collect because it'll be so politically unpopular. No one wants DFNA to show up at their house with a bill saying, oh, by the way, nor would I want to report my internet activity and the purchases I make to the state government, which is what it would be required to happen. And nobody wants that invasion of privacy. But anyway, here's the piece. But this article here actually completely derails Asa Hutchinson's support for the new unconstitutional internet sales tax that one of his yes men, Senator Jake Files, was running. Quote, cheers to Asa Hutchinson for respecting the Constitution. You see this up here. We found the article. Some states don't care about the Constitution. They'll pass unconstitutional, extraterritorial sales taxes trying to bully innovative businesses into knuckling under. Not Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, they wrote. He wants to do something about sales tax in his state, but he wants to respect the Constitution as he does so. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson listens to a reporter's question at that's the caption of the photo. In Quill versus North Dakota, the Supreme Court majority weakened the restrictions on states coercing out-of-state businesses into collecting sales taxes for them, but those restrictions were far from removed. Some states don't care and just pass laws anyway, but Asa Hutchinson wants to do it right and will let Congress act. Will let the Congress act. This is incomplete. This is completely the opposite of what he is advocating for now. Wow. This is actually a really good definition of a flip-flop here. Not only that, the article goes on, but Hutchinson will ensure that the new taxation doesn't grow government. And then they quote, according to KATV, ABC affiliate, J.R. Davis, spokesperson for Governor Hutchinson, wouldn't go as far as saying the governor necessarily supports the tax that has been co-sponsored by Northwest Arkansas Representative Steve Womack. But Davis said if the federal government were to pass an online sales tax, Hutchinson would like to set those funds aside to help drive down the state income tax rate. Oh, by the way, wasn't that proposed last session? Wasn't it proposed that we'll pass this sales tax on the internet if you promise that it will go to decreasing taxes? And they wanted to actually put that specifically in the bill, and the leadership and Governor Hutchinson didn't want to do it? Now, I mean, this was back in June of 2016. Here we are in August of 2017, and the facts, as we know them today, completely contradict what they were saying back then. Quote, if you look around at the states that surround Arkansas, we have the highest income tax, said Davis. The lower the income tax rate, I think the more competitive we can be, not only to businesses, but just bringing people to Arkansas. Well, it's a far cry. Again, that was June of last year, when a lot of people had high hopes that we would actually accomplish something this past session. Not so much, man. I'm telling you, they talk a good game, but when the rubber meets the road, there's really no traction. They just kind of spin their wheels, and they want you to think that they've done something, but it's all smoke. It's actually, it's like literally the rubber smoke. Goes on, Hutchinson, who has been a vocal opponent of Donald Trump, and only released a backhanded statement of support after Ted Cruz dropped, shows how you improve a state's economy while respecting the Constitution. Okay, so this was, again, an article back in June where the primary was going on like crazy, and Donald Trump looked like he had secured the nomination, and people were still really bitter. So all that being said, first of all, I want to say, if you go back and read the quotes in the Gazette, it was clear Governor Hutchinson wants a national sales tax. Okay, so when they say here, wouldn't go as far as saying the governor necessarily supports the tax. Yes, he does. I mean, I really like that revenue, but I don't necessarily support the tax. Yeah, you do. Okay. Not to mention, you go read the article, and we'll have to now find that, because I'm going to want to know the exact quote. It's pretty clear. It was clear to me at the time. I talked about it. He supports the internet sales tax. And not only that, it doesn't even matter because he supported Jake Files' SB 140. Is Jake Files still living in Arkansas, or did he go to the Texas solar plant? Or the solar? Jake Files went to what? Did he sell his house yet? Is that the 10,000 square foot house? Did he sell that yet? I know it was on the market. And, obviously we know Jake Files got those business problems that are going on with him, the liens and stuff. I wish I had the list memorized, but I can't. It's just too long. But he got a job at a Texas solar panel company as a consultant. Is he moving to Texas? If so, there should be a special election to fill the remaining of his term. Or maybe he'll just show up when Asa decides to call a special session. Maybe that's what'll happen. Anyway. Fascinating stuff here. Again, didn't plan on this, but it just dawned on me. Wait a second, because the reason it dawned on me is because I'm the one that got criticized for criticizing Asa. They tried to say Paul Harrell doesn't support the Constitution. when I was criticizing Asa for supporting the national internet sales tax, and that they were completely missing the boat. No, I wasn't. I don't want any tax raised, whether it's the national or the state level. You know, you're not for the Constitution. No, actually, Asa's not for the constitutional precedent now because he supported Jake Files' bill, which Dan Douglas in committee openly admitted that Mr. Waters, quote, Mr. Waters is right. This bill is unconstitutional. And then he compared it to abortion laws, meaning so it should be fine because we pass abortion laws that get challenged this court as unconstitutional. So what's the difference? Oh, yeah, what's the difference in new revenue to the government and the life or death situation of being pro-abortion? Back in a minute.
Rush, Glenn, Sean, and Paul. This is Jonesboro's 1013 FM News Talk, KBTM.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Because the plan doesn't get rid of pre-existing conditions. You know what I'm saying? So if they have to take everybody, even if you have a pre-existing condition, then the prices are going to be high. And so then you're going to have some sort of penalty for not having insurance, because if price is high and you have the freedom to not get insurance, then the whole system's good. So in many ways, the individual mandate is required if you're going to do the whole pre-existing conditions thing. It's really a catch-22 here.
It truly is, and I think the biggest problem we have here is that the Republicans aren't strong enough in the Senate, or at least they're not brave enough to do what needs to be done here. And this is such an opportunity for us as a party to be talking about big, bold ideas like healthcare savings accounts. Those things could truly revolutionize healthcare in America, and they're barely referenced in this bill. There is provisions for them, there are tax credits for them, but they're not emphasized whatsoever. We have a majority in the Senate, but we've got some conservatives saying, no, we're not going to vote for this. And I think it's a good thing because we should be, as Ronald Reagan said, painting with those bold colors. This is such an opportunity for us to really stand up for what we believe in and distinguish ourselves from the Democrats and from the progressives, that we're really letting it slip through our fingers. And, Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, they're saying, well, if we just pass this, then we're going to have the Department of Health and Human Services come in and write some rules that will be very conservative, and that will, in essence, be repealing Obamacare.
Yeah.
But since when do we as conservatives allow the bureaucratic state to start writing rules, start interpreting legislation, more than we want our elected representatives to do that? That, as a party, we should be saying no. Just as what we talked about, Neil Gorsuch, it's not the court's job to interpret these laws, and it's truly not the administrative state's role to interpret these laws. It should be our representatives, these people who we can hold accountable in the next election cycle if they do wrong by us. And so I think our principles are wrong on this bill, and we're letting a tremendous opportunity slip through our fingers where we could really revolutionize our health care in the United States. And instead of, I always tell this story, Paul, about my mom. I was on my family's plan back in the day when this all happened, and we all got kicked off our health insurance plan, and we were told we needed to apply for a new one. And so we called to do the application process. It wasn't one question about, do you smoke, do you drink, how healthy are you, do you have diabetes? It was, how much money do you make every year? What's your household income? And my mom, being the little firecracker that she is, she goes, what in the world does that have to do with my health insurance rate? And the lady on the other side of the phone says, well, ma'am, it doesn't really have to do with your health anymore. It has to do with how much income you have as a household, and that determines what subsidies we can give you.
Yeah.
So it's no longer about how healthy you are. It's about how poor you are and how much wealth they can redistribute to you from the wealthy Americans, and that is a very poisonous place for us to be as a society.
Yeah, what we're watching is just like the progressive income tax, what it does to the incentive structure. When you get to a certain income level, your taxes go through the roof or whatever. And we're watching that happen in healthcare. We're going to tie this to how much money you make, and then we're going to determine, hey, we can gouge this guy because he can afford it, and it's about redistribution of wealth. I want to get your comment on one more thing. We're talking with Richard Castor Richard,
before you move on, Paul, I'm going to interrupt one thing.
Yeah.
We can't let this conversation go by without putting a little bit of blame on Asa Hutchinson, our governor here, and John Kasich in Ohio, who led the movement in the Republican Party to embrace Obamacare in their states and have made it 1,000 times harder in Washington, D.C. for our nationally elected Republicans to fully repeal and replace Obamacare. Asa is up there. Kasich is up there, saying, no, don't do this. We've put so many people on our Medicaid rolls that we will lose elections if you fully repeal Obamacare now, and they need to be held accountable for that. We can't let this conversation go by without saying, Asa Hutchinson, you did wrong in bringing Obamacare to Arkansas and embracing it the way you did, and we as a party should hold him accountable for that.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a choice, to lead us out of a mess that Mike Beebe and Republicans got us into, and he chose not to do that. He chose to continue with the status quo, and now, like you're right, we've now got 330,000 people in this program, and he's claiming he's going to lose elections. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull some audio. That's some good audio I've got of Rick Scott of Florida at a Republican Governors Association a few months back, and Asa Hutchinson. Rick Scott, talks about how this is going to be really hard to do now that Donald Trump's won. It's going to be hard. The empire is going to strike back because basically all of these people who've got addicted, all these corporations, the insurance companies who want the government, guaranteed cash flow. This is going to be a tough road. And then Asa gets up there and says, we've got to get this right, this repeal right, because I'm up for re-election. I mean, those are his exact words. And I've got the audio, and I'll play it when we come back from break. But I really appreciate, Richard, you bringing that up. Last question, real briefly. This has to do with Asa and the Republican leadership in Arkansas. The Municipal League had their conference to
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. It's hour number 2. Thanks so much for being with us. The telephone number, if you want to call us or text, is 870-275-9799, and you have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality, and we're building a liberty machine. We got to have your help to do it, so get on board with us, folks. We do appreciate it. I'm telling you, last hour, it dawned on me that there was a miraculous article that appeared back in June of 2016, right as Governor Asa Hutchinson came out for a national internet sales tax, meaning he wants Congress to act. And it was the biggest baloney of an article. And I remember thinking, why did Red State write this? Who in the world called somebody to get a Red State article about this? The headline was, "Cheers to Asa Hutchinson for respecting the Constitution on sales tax." And in it details how, way to go, you don't want to pass the sales tax yourself here in the state of Arkansas, but, you do want to respect the Constitution. You want Congress to act. And it just dawned on me last hour that this article existed. I forgot all about it, and it shows Governor Asa Hutchinson to be completely flip-flopping because months ago he supported state action that was openly admitted to be unconstitutional. Anyway, it's pretty fascinating. I'd love to get the comment of Mr. David Crow. David Crow is on the line. He is with the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance and the chairman of the Faulkner County Tea Party. David, welcome back to the program, sir.
Hey, Paul. I'm glad to be with you.
Yes, sir. I know we had to miss last week. I was on live remote in Batesville last week. But have you – I don't know if you've been listening to the show the last hour. It's okay if you haven't. But I'm telling you, this article that I remembered is really interesting to me, and it really goes to show that if you put these guys on record long enough, even the carefully crafted language starts to fall apart.
Yeah, I have seen – we've all witnessed it, and we've all sort of scratched our head. But it all boils down to that this governor is substantially different than what we thought we were getting when he was voted in. We anticipated some conservative values and principles being discussed, passed, and put in place and to help the people of the state of Arkansas. But what we've seen is a progressive governor step in, and he has done everything possible to terminate and to eliminate people that have stood for conservative values in every possible way, and it's a saddening event to cause it to that I've seen occur. But getting back to what you were talking about with the internet tax, I mean, the man was no doubt for more taxes in this session than probably any governor we've had in quite many years. What was it, $400 million?
Yes.
That he was advocating for in tax increases, of which 150 million were, or 100 to 150 million were going to occur as a result of the internet tax on the citizens of the state of Arkansas. And it's just one thing after another. It's just increasing your spending every year. What did he increase spending by $500 million over the last 3 years?
Yeah.
And he just continues to pour it on and pour it on. And the poor people of the state of Arkansas continue to have to cough up more and more of our money because he spends at the rate of $8,000 per capita throughout the state compared to the states around us. We're 40% more than the states around us. So, yes, well, I'll tell you what, it just stirs me up every time I think about it. It's just like, why do we have to continue to spend like we're spending in the state of Arkansas? It is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And he puts 320,000 people on expanded Medicaid, Medicaid expansion at the tune of $2 billion a year. I mean, oh, holy cow.
I know. I'm glad somebody else gets as fired up about this as I do. I mean, it makes me, it makes me at least happy that, look, I'm not the only one. Sometimes I think I'm crazy, about what this stuff's going on, and nobody's has been out of shape about it. But I want to talk about the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance because you guys, I mean, I'm so excited to come to this convention. I really feel like, David, that there is so much momentum because just through the grapevine, I know that the establishment, they're nervous. I really do. I think they know that when their record is observed, not just, well, give us a chance, in 2015, give us a chance. We're going to end Medicaid expansion. Well, that was exposed as a complete lie. And now they're like, well, we've got to, we're past the healthcare thing. Right now we're going to do some real conservative stuff that we can all agree on. And then the same familiar faces, they just spin their wheels. We don't get anything done. I feel like the people... there's more people who have come to the conclusion maybe that I was at a year or two before they were, but I think now there's so much body of evidence that is saying, look, we've got to mobilize, we've got to organize, and it's hard to organize liberty-minded people because we don't want to answer to anybody, and that's actually can be used to an advantage. But the Liberty Doesn't Matter third annual Arkansas Tea Party Alliance Convention for September the 16th. It's a Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4, the Robinson Center, new ballroom overlooking the Arkansas River and the Doubletree Hotel. Tickets are $30, and right now, folks, you can get them over at Facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. We have pinned the Eventbrite page to the top of our Facebook page at Facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. David, I know you're excited about this.
Oh, I am. Like you said, it's just there's so many people that are interested in coming from all over around the state. We've talked to people in Southwest Arkansas, South Arkansas, Central, Northeast, Northwest, and a lot of people are talking about it, buying tickets, and cannot wait to come. It's going to be an exciting weekend, actually, because a number of us are going to come in on Friday night and have a pizza party and hopefully get spend some time with Mike Gallagher and some of the other folks that are presenting that evening, and it's going to be an exciting time. And there are people. There is apathy that's out there. There's people that are just shocked by what we've discussed a few minutes ago, but there are some people beginning to set their jaw, and they just want to discuss this thing and want to be able to get together with people of kindred spirits, sharing their thoughts and ideas about what's going on around the state.
I recently moved neighborhoods up here in northeast Arkansas where I am, and I'm still kind of getting to know my neighbors. I met one of them the other night. And lo and behold, he knew who I was, so he listens to the program. And that's always good. That's always nice when people are listening. But he just said, because now everybody that listens to the show, when they see me out, they just shake their head and they say, what are we going to do about Asa? And I'm to the point where my response is, well, there's a chance that we have, there's always a chance that, you have a libertarian like Mark West, or you have something happen that maybe we don't know. We're not in control of this stuff. But for the most part, my answer is, David, we're going to have to endure him. We're going to have to wait him out. But we can, this is a new one, we can defeat him by not giving him a lapdog legislature. And that means that primaries are going to be really important, because we don't need lapdogs for Asa. We need folks who are going to think for themselves and just implement the policies, vote for the policies of the people that sent them there. What are your thoughts?
That's true. We've been talking about this quite a bit over the last number of months, and we have got to go out and find individuals, vet them, and determine who is the better of the candidates or people that we have that are currently in office versus those that we're finding and vetting. And, the lapdog legislature is probably a very good name for this group, because they have just simply followed day in and day out everything that this governor's wanted to do. His progressive agenda is just killing the state, and it's what we need to do is to do some of those things that you just mentioned. But we have to get out there and primary a lot of these folks and get their attention, and hopefully replace a number of them that have just been going the wrong direction from what they campaigned on. And the list is long.
Yeah.
About individuals who have done the opposite of what they said that they were going to do during the campaigning process.
Yeah, you're right. You're certainly right about that. So I'm excited about the breakout sessions. I know Conduit for Action will be there, and I know we'll have some other groups there as well. Americans for Prosperity, and others that are going to be. And the reason I'm saying this is because I want people to come to this event who have never been to a Tea Party meeting, because you don't have to be a member of the Tea Party to come. You're going to get so much great information, and you're going to meet other people who are like-minded that may have ideas, especially if you do want to get involved and start to become active in your local, your city, your county. I mean, this is a great opportunity for people, not just to be entertained, but to actually make some ground and eventually preserve or take back some of our liberty.
Right. ACRE is the three great breakout groups right now is AFP, AAI, and our Advanced Arkansas Institute. ACRE, which is Arkansas Center for Research and Economics out of Conway here at the UCA. That is true. We have a very conservative group at the University of Central Arkansas, and they're going to be talking about the tax reform. And that's a very significant thing that's going on in the state of Arkansas right now. I don't think that the path that the group is on is the path that ACRE's proposed, which is incredibly conservative, and it's a good path for the state of Arkansas.
Talking about the tax farce.
But not the tax farce, exactly. But I'm telling you, they have a good message, and it's one that a lot of people need to hear, and they're good people. We're going to have a tort reform debate. That's a big issue that's before us in the state, and it's one that we're going to have two debaters, and we'll a little more on that a little bit later on. But that should be a very interesting breakout session. AFP has a veteran coming in that's going to be able to share a lot of his conservative principles and values, and he's shared with them a number of venues that they have, and he's incredibly popular. So I'll have more detail on that a little bit later on. But I'll tell you what, Commerce and Action is going to have a panel of the legislators, and that should be very exciting. It's one of our more popular
yes
events that occur at a convention, and it's backed by big demand. And we're going to have that in the big room, so
good.
Everybody can experience that. And I tell you what, with the senators Linda Collins Smith and Brian King and Representatives Dan Sullivan and Josh Miller.
Oh, wow, that'll be fun.
Just those names. I mean, it's going to be that's going to be a fun panel, folks, and you need to come out just for that one thing.
Yeah.
But also, you're going to be able to get a little bit of breakfast, and you're going to have some lunch, and it should be a very exciting time. For $30, it's a full day.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Arkansas Center for Research and Economics. I did not get to attend their presentation last year. I had to go to somewhere else, but I mean, I really want to be able to attend them all. You know, I know that's tough. That you're gonna have to kind of pick the best ones or the ones that are top of your list. But I'm told that Jeremy Horpendahl, Jason Bundrick. They have a new paper that's out or coming out. We've got them scheduled on the show next Wednesday from 4 to 5. They're going to come on. They're going to talk about it. And this is specifically about Arkansas' spending problem. But I've been watching Jeremy Horpendahl's his Twitter feed today, and he is retweeting some great stuff and tweeting some things that are very similar to your numbers. And I mentioned you in that tweet. Did you see it?
I did not, but I will go searching for it as soon as I'm off the air.
Well, it's just your numbers. I mean, it's just your numbers, $7,000, you know, it's almost $8,000 per capita and versus other states. And I just think to myself, wow, you know, here's Acre. They're really kind of echoing what you went and found. And I'm just curious, did you work with them at all or kind of give them some feedback? I did. You did?
Yeah, I gave. We've had them over to the Tea Party here in Faulkner County a few times, and the last time they came in, we kicked that around and some of the numbers, and I've obviously shared with them our article that we ran, and which has been published in quite a few locations and papers around the state, which we're excited about. So those numbers are just staggering. Absolutely, it's just beyond belief that we would find ourselves in the state of Arkansas spending the way we do.
Well,
and so therefore, you have to prop up. You got to. If you got that much spending, you got to take it from the people. And hopefully the people will stand up and say, no more. We need to stop spending taxes, sending you money the way you do, because the way that you spend it is just simply the wrong thing to do.
David Crow, you are a gentleman and a scholar of the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. Appreciate you coming on again, folks. Get your tickets Saturday, September 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Robinson Center. Go to facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. And you can buy your tickets online right there. David, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Paul, thank you. It's the same at you. Take care, man.
All righty. See you next time, folks. Got to take a break. Back in just a moment.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org, and stand up for small business in Arkansas. Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas, the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions. Do you need to advertise your business product or service, but not sure what the best choice is? Folks, allow me to introduce you to Talk Radio. You're listening to it right now. Talk radio is one of the most unique mediums in all of advertising because it actually works. It gets the information you want to the people you want to get it to. And by the way, those people are educated, well-informed decision makers of their household, and most of them have disposable income. If this is a target audience for your business, then you have to consider advertising on my show, The Paul Harrell Program. We have options for most any budget and can provide you with exciting opportunities to grow your business. We can put your message across the state, or we can help you locally. Call 870-275-9755 if you have any questions. That's 870-275-9755, or visit my website, paulharrell.com, and click on Advertise.
Need to get something off your chest? Then call or text Paul now, 870-275-9799.
Your text messages. We don't listen to leftists who try to advocate for overriding parts of the Constitution they don't like, First, Second Amendment. Yet some GOP want to go against the Commerce Clause. You are constitutional conservative on all parts of the Constitution or not at all, in my opinion. I like that black and white stance. I like it. People don't. They want to see the Constitution as something, well, it doesn't really matter. If the ends justify the means, we don't really need. If American citizens get swept up and they get unmasked in our surveillance, but the ends it was for the good. I don't want to trade my freedom for security. I don't know about you guys. Not when it's a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. But if you have to be tapped, you'll go through the FISA Covert Committee. The FISA Covert Committee, they'll look out for your rights. The FISA Covert Committee that meets in a windowless room and, is not open to the public. Hey, I'm not raising new stuff here, by the way, when it comes to the Fourth Amendment. When it comes to the Fourth Amendment, Republicans, I feel like, and Democrats, they lock arms, and it's just like, well, technology these days, the ends justify the means. Sorry, just hopefully you won't have anything to hide. Then you have anything to worry about. Just be a good little citizen. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, I'm sure many people have an immense amount of confidence in this guy's commitment to the Constitution when he ruled Obamacare constitutional. But Chief Justice John Roberts, he's the guy, I believe, that selects the judges that go on the FISA Covert Committee to decide whether or not this warrant. It's essentially a rubber stamp. They very rarely turn anything back. Here's a quote from John Roberts when he was being confirmed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Quote, "I'll be very candid," he told senators. "When I first learned about the FISA court, I was surprised. It's not what we usually think of when we think of a court. We think of a place where we can go, we can watch, the lawyers argue, and it's subject to the glare of publicity. And the judges explain their decision to the public, and they can examine them. That's what we think of as a court." FISA Covert Committee is what I call it because that's exactly what it is. FISA Covert Committee. Not a court. And I only called it something different because Chief Justice John Roberts doesn't really think it's a real court either, or at least he didn't used to. 870-275-9799 is the telephone number. Call or text us. What else do we have? More texts here. Here we go. Let's see. Wonder if the need for revenue has anything to do with Arkansas Works. Yeah. That's Don and Pocahontas. Yeah, of course it does. The need for revenue, the quest for revenue, absolutely. I tweeted something about that earlier today. I retweeted the graph of our revenue basically flatlining, but Medicaid expenditures going through the roof, and how those lines are getting further and further apart. Essentially to say, this is why the GOP has to violate their platform. Or at least the ones in leadership have to violate their platform. Thank you, Paul. We got another text message. Levita in Randolph County. Thank you, Paul, for the Tea Party info. I attended this great grassroots group in my 2010 campaign alone from Randolph County. I say with Tea Party in 2016 campaign, yes, we need folks to attend the Tea Party assemblies. The people must assemble to defend liberty. We appreciate all of you guys out there listening and participating. Sound off about the show. Give us a message on Facebook or our comment section over at paulharrell.com. I don't know if any of you had cheese last night, but if you did, you're probably a sexist if you also believe in PETA. Back in a minute.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
And replace Obamacare. ASA is up there, Kasich is up there saying, no, don't do this. We've put so many people on our Medicaid rolls that we will lose elections if you fully repeal Obamacare now, and they need to be held accountable for that. We can't let this conversation go by without saying, Asa Hutchinson, you did wrong in bringing Obamacare to Arkansas and embracing it the way you did, and we as a party should hold him accountable for that.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a choice, to lead us out of a mess that Mike Beebe and Republicans got us into, and he chose not to do that. He chose to continue with the status quo, and now, like you're right, we've now got 330,000 people in this program, and he's claiming he's going to lose elections. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull some audio. That's some good audio I've got of Rick Scott of Florida at a Republican Governors Association a few months back, and Asa Hutchinson. Rick Scott, talks about how this is going to be really hard to do now that Donald Trump's won. It's going to be hard. The empire is going to strike back because basically all of these people who've got addicted, all these corporations, the insurance companies who want the government, guaranteed cash flow. This is going to be a tough road. And then Asa gets up there and says, we've got to get this right, this repeal right, because I'm up for re-election. I mean, those are his exact words. And I've got the audio, and I'll play it when we come back from break. But I really appreciate, Richard, you bringing that up. A last question real briefly. This has to do with Asa and the Republican leadership in Arkansas. The Municipal League had their conference 2 weeks ago. They passed resolutions urging, so we're talking about county, city officials. They are now urging Asa and the legislature to call a special session to raise our taxes by figuring out some way to, have an internet sales tax, more revenue to the government. Is that a conflict of interest? A little bit.
Of course it is. The Municipal League operates off of people's taxes. Of course they want more. They like to give themselves another pay raise if they could. But I think any chance that these bureaucrats who live and breathe government, any chance they can get to grow the size and scope of any local or statewide government, they're going to take it. And it's no surprise that they would pass these resolutions, begging the legislature to get back in session. But we should, at the same time, as the people of this great state, say, no, every time you guys meet, you raise our taxes. We get deeper in debt, more regulations. It's harder for our businesses to thrive, and it's harder to put food in our families' mouths. Don't meet again until you constitutionally have to. This is a part-time legislature. That's how it's supposed to be, and they need to start doing as they're named. It should be part-time. They don't need to be down there every day because not every problem requires government to solve it. And we have conservatives, quote-unquote conservatives, in charge of state government. Then let's live that way, and let's tell the people the government's not there to hold your hand. The government is there to serve you, not make you serve them.
Richard Castor, I really appreciate it. Baxter County Republican Chairman, we appreciate it, sir. Be safe, okay? We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, folks, it's the Paul Harrell Program. We're going to take a break. Back in just a moment.
The Paul Harrell Program.
What's the exact title of this? Oh my goodness, I can't believe this. I have two. Let's go to the town hall article. Is the exact title, "Sorry Everyone, PETA says eating cheese is sexist"? That's the title. If you actually Google PETA cheese sexist, you come up with the actual PETA.org article. To help end sexism, you should stop eating cheese. Man, I'm telling you, this is the same group. This is the same segment of the liberal left, in my opinion, that it just contributes to somebody with conservative opinions getting fired from Google. I know people are going to be like, it's not a direct connection. Okay, but indirectly, this is the same folks who thought they could win a presidential election by lecturing the entire country on pronouns instead of their economic security and the fact that we need more jobs in the country. Unbelievable stuff. Listen to this. I'm going to go to the PETA article first. I'm sorry, you may not have this one, Joe, but again, if it's very simple, just Google PETA cheese sexist, and you can pull it up for our online audience if you want.
That's something I never thought I would ever have in a search.
Yeah, Google it.
Well,
Google
like
cheese.
in your history, like one of those things you have to.
Sexist.
If they were to start doing national sales tax, one of those things you have to send in is your search history.
Yeah.
Figure out what you search for.
Did you buy it?
They pull it up. PETA cheese sexist.
This guy's weird. This guy's weird is what they say.
Some weird.
Whether you're shopping at Zappos.com or VictoriaSecret.com or PETA.com.
Do they have anything to buy it?
Man, if PETA's website...
Does PETA have a shop?
Check this out. If PETA's website if they'd ever do something stupid, you remember a while back when KeithOlbermann.com, it came up for availability.
And in fact, do have a shop. PETA does.
And then somebody grabbed it and held it for ransom. They wouldn't give it back to him, or they redirected KeithOlbermann.com to like a conservative. If PETA's website PETA.org, if that ever comes available, somebody should sell steaks on it should be a PETA brand steak, and they should sell steaks. Okay. Why cheese is the most sexist thing you can eat. Now, listen to this, man. If you're trying to be a little bit more compassionate towards women, if you can even say women anymore, in the context of gender. As feminists, we're working to put more women in office and in corner offices. I just have a text message. Time to buy more cheese. Yes. And, the thing is, I love cheese.
Someone gets it.
I love cheese. I'm a big fan of brie. Man, it's delicious. If you take some like toasted baguettes, right? And you want to toast them, right? And so you want to put them in the oven, but you want to put the little olive oil on there with a little cracked black pepper. Then you pull those out when they're done, and you put a piece of brie, right? And then a piece of sliced avocado, and then just a little grind of sea salt. I sound so elitist, right? All right, I feel like I sound so elitist right now, like I'm actually a liberal that rides around in a limousine or something. I don't. I'm just saying it's really good stuff.
Paul, I have a question. Have you scrolled to the end of the article yet?
I have not.
Scroll to the end of the article.
Oh gosh, what do I?
The big yellow button.
The big yellow button.
You'll see it when you get there.
Oh wow! I pledge to go vegan to help end sexism. Wow. This is so if you go vegan, you will help end sexism. Folks, when it comes to stuff like this, I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense. We should have conservative, limited government conservatism should literally be dominating. Dominating way. I mean, it is in the state, in the county level, the state level. I mean, if you look at what's happening right now, but this is why you have so many states who have gone completely red. As feminists, they write, we're working to put more women in office and in corner offices. We fight for equal pay, tax-free feminine hygiene products, and end to sexual harassment funding for women's sports and streets safe enough for us to walk alone.
Okay, so I have something to say real quick.
Yeah.
They were talking about tax-free feminine hygiene products.
Yeah. Tax-free.
So when are they going to start handing out tax-free condoms or start selling those tax-free?
Well, this was a whole thing with Sandra Fluke. This was a whole thing. She wanted free birth control. They wanted free birth control, not just tax-free. Interesting though. This is a window into the brain. This is a window into the brain of the left that feel that they're actually kind of admitting that they believe they're disadvantaged by being born a woman and needing feminine hygiene products, if you think about it. Because they believe that because they're different, I guess they believe it's unequal that men don't have to, since only women, although I've gone into the store and bought feminine hygiene products before for my wife, so technically, I mean, is that not sexist of me? I'm just saying I've paid taxes. I mean, we have the same bank account, though. We've got that pesky, pesky traditional marriage thing going on in our life. I don't think that doesn't mesh well with the agenda here. So that's a thing. They want tax-free feminine hygiene products. It's crazy to me. To see an end to sexual harassment. Okay, they keep going. Can food really be sexist? Yes, they write, PETA, when it's the product of imprisonment, rape, reproductive control, kidnapping, and abuse. Okay, now this is where the logic of their argument, they would say, is just consistent. We say we're feminists as women, so we need to be feminists for cows. That's right. We need to march for cows. Or they would say, no, not just for cows, but for all female animals. Which, by the way, if you can't use a gender construct for humans, why can you use one for cows? What if there is a cow that's being milked for cheese, and this cow really identifies as a bull? What happened if the cow actually identifies as a man cow? A man cow, I tell you. And then if cows could talk, what a great response. Right? I identify as a bull. Oh, bull.
Oh, baloney. Oh, wait, wrong animal.
Oh, wrong animal, right? Is bologna? Hang on, they make beef bologna.
Well, yeah, they do, but typical bologna is more pork.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
Well, honestly, it's a mishmash of stuff.
So do not click on these YouTube videos, though. How cows are raped on farms, I don't really want to know. Contrary to popular belief, female cows produce milk only when they're pregnant. No, I'm sorry. I already knew that. That cows produce milk when they're pregnant. Contrary to popular belief, female cows only produce milk when they're pregnant. They make milk for the same reason that human women do, so that are the exact same.
Okay, so in this case, if they're the exact same, then this goes back to the equality issue. Why don't they get gender-neutral terms?
I don't know. I
identify as cow.
I don't know. Maybe you're a speciesist, huh? You're a speciesist. I don't know. Maybe the cows.
Sexist, apparently.
Maybe the cows. I don't know. Maybe PETA still admits that biology is biology. Let's see. To make milk for the same reason that human women do, to feed their babies. Cows who are imprisoned on dairy farms. Wow, listen to these words they use. Imprisoned. It'd be like if you were writing about a human. I'll give them props for that. At least they are really sticking to their principles here. Cows who are imprisoned on dairy farms are forcibly impregnated through artificial insemination again and again on rape racks. Whoa, that is a huge quote there. That is a huge bunch of information. They're forcibly impregnated through artificial insemination again and again on rape racks.
Is that what they actually call them?
Of course that's not what dairy farmers call them. There's not a chance that's what dairy farmers... Well, let's get the cow up on the rape rack. That's what PETA calls it.
By the way, I did know that they did not call them rape racks. I just want to get a response out of you.
I'm sure you did. I'm sorry.
I wanted to see your response to the question.
Good grief. Can you imagine? Rape racks. All for your milk, cheese, and yogurt. That's right.
I got to have my pizza, man.
That's right.
What does pizza always have?
Cheese. PETA investigations have shown that farm workers kick, whip, and jab laboring mother cows and others who had just given birth. Eyewitnesses also filmed workers attaching chains to unborn calves' legs when their mothers had difficulty giving birth and yanking the babies out of the birth canals, causing the laboring cows to cry out. Interestingly enough, I guess no woman ever has cried out in labor. The mothers are not allowed to nurse their babies. Instead, their infants are stolen from them, usually within hours. They're imprisoned. I mean, human beings, we're basically enslaving this cow, or these cows, and then we're stealing from them. Let's see. Male calves who are considered worthless in the dairy industry are often sold for veal. Delicious. Otherwise, they're raised to be what, Joe? You wanted to say something?
I was just going to say tasty.
Tasty. Yeah, delicious, tasty veal. It's some of the best eats you can get. Otherwise, they're raised to be killed for beef. Females are typically fed a milk replacement and eventually sentenced to the same sad fate as their mothers. Okay, so because, again, this is consistent with their, well, when women buy feminine hygiene products, PETA says that they ought to have tax-free feminine hygiene products. The reason they say this, I'm just trying to get in their brain. I don't know why, but I'm just saying they think that because they're born different from men, this is the same thing. Because females are the only gender that nurses, that it somehow occurs. And so if you're eating cheese, you're supporting the process of using a cow just for their breast milk, and that you're a sexist. Just like if you think that women should pay taxes just, for feminine hygiene products, just like we all pay taxes for anything that we need. I guess you're sexist if you don't agree with them.
I think you're missing the whole point of this article, Paul.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I think the whole point of this article is to get tax-free feminine hygiene products. Because that's the one thing that they mentioned the most, like the one thing they mentioned at the very beginning.
Yeah,
like
maybe it
that
is.
Gets brought up at the very beginning, and they put all of these things in there about how different men and women are. And how different. Like,
well, you know what would happen if they offered tax-free feminine hygiene products? It would save small business, mom and pops.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
That is the key.
After their calves have been taken away from them, the mother cows are hooked up to milking machines 2 or more times a day. Through the use of intense milking regimes and sometimes drugs, their reproductive systems are exploited as they're forced to produce much more milk than they normally would. The average cow today produces more than 4 times as much milk as cows did in 1950. All right, now stop here. Again, information, okay, all right. People may be uncomfortable with hooking a cow up to a milk machine. I personally am not. I know there are some people out there that are uncomfortable with industrialized farming on large scales. Okay, this is not what they're advocating, though. They're advocating to stop farming the resources completely. They'd probably accuse me of being sexist for saying that a female is just a resource. But they're arguing that you need to stop eating cheese.
And drinking milk.
And drinking milk.
And eating yogurt.
And I had a big glass of milk this morning. First, weird, too. Man, before I saw this story too.
That both me and my roommate have yogurt.
It was
strange.
strange. I never have milk. I never have crave milk. I mean, I never crave milk. But so this morning I was like, I had a big glass of milk.
I do on occasion.
I just think it's weird that I craved it and then we have this story here.
I got a question, Paul.
Yeah.
When you cook eggs ever,
yeah,
do you add milk into the eggs?
I do
before?
not. I mean, I know some people that do.
When I make scrambled eggs, I put milk in my eggs.
I'm mostly like a not scrambled. I mean, I like scrambled eggs, but I'm more of an over medium kind of guy.
Oh, I like
with some
scrambled.
Cajun seasoning right before the flip. It's really good.
You're much more of a connoisseur of food than I am, though.
A cow's natural lifespan is about 20 years. Okay, anyway, whatever. Scroll down to the bottom. Let them see the big button. All right, so if any of our listeners listening to the Paul Harrell program, if you want to pledge to go vegan to help end sexism, you can click on that button right there. And do me a favor, never listen to my show again.
No.
If you
please listen to the show. Maybe we'll change your mind.
I don't know. I think if you want to click on that button, you're too far gone. I mean, there are lost causes out there. There are times where you just got to say, you know what, we can't rehabilitate this person. They just need to, we just need to outnumber them. That's what I think. Townhall.com, their piece on this. Sorry, everyone. PETA says eating cheese is sexist. Christine Rossell. It's a woman, so, I mean, she's like, I don't know. She's turning on her own gender here. Her own cow sisters. That sounds terrible. I'm just trying to use their logic. I'm not calling the author a cow. I mean, I think I was, but not in the context, not in the sense that people call women cows as insults. I'm just saying, PETA would say you're a traitor because you're a woman and you're just the same as a cow. See the left, folks. It's not my problem. The same people that declared that milk was a symbol of white supremacy comes the blistering hot take. Cheese is the most sexist food there is. Cows are regularly raped on farms, and the act of eating cheese is failing to combat sexism.
Can we get any more left than what we've been reading? Like just this.
I don't know. This is why Donald Trump won.
People who declared that milk was a symbol of white supremacy.
Saying this is why Donald Trump won, man. I'm telling you.
Come on.
People, and there may be some people who maybe don't support Donald Trump that are listening to this, and maybe you're just kind of an independent or whatever, and you've bought into the media hype or uncomfortable with everything that's going on. Look, I would just tell you, just so if you want to know why, it's stuff like this. People on your side, people on the left are ridiculous. I mean, it's getting to a point where you can't reason with them at all. This is not a reasonable position to take. It's not a reasonable position to take. It's kind of psychotic.
I would like to know PETA's position on chocolate milk. That's what I want to know.
Oh wow, I don't know.
They have this very negative
milk
view
is used
of
to make. I mean, Hershey's.
milk.
Come on, man. Whatever.
If they have this negative view of regular milk,
think about what that would do to the economy. Though, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just
stop
more milk.
Yeah, stop making all that stuff.
No more chocolate.
Well, we would switch to Taco Bell's choice of cheese, which is so processed and so like it's
careful. They'll sue you.
That's
Taco
fine.
Bell will sue people that question their quality of meat and probably their cheese.
Let me. Let me see. As of 3 years ago, maybe 4, I had a friend that I worked at camp with, and we went to Taco Bell. He is lactose intolerant.
Uh-oh.
He can eat a cheese quesadilla and have no problems.
Oh.
Like, it's that processed.
Okay. Well, hey, there you go. That's interesting.
Taco Bell's very bad for you.
Yeah. And also no cheese dip. I mean,
unfortunately, it does taste
no
good.
cheese dip, no more queso. Can I say queso? Am I appropriating Mexican culture? We got to take a break. You're listening to the Paul Harrell program. Back in just a moment.
In a world full of constituents with social media accounts, bloggers just looking to increase their page views, and a talk radio host who generally is just the worst, how are Little Rock's elite supposed to conduct business with such a lack of privacy? Introducing the 1835 Club, older and more refined than other clubs that claim discretion. The 1835 Club is for seasoned political veterans that want to conduct the highest form of aristocratic business with the public's money. Are you a schemer?
Do you someday want a guaranteed flow of taxpayer money to support your business? Is it your dream to see the .gov domain at the end of your business website? Don't listen to the imitators. The 1835 Club is the place where corrupt politicians and businessmen hatch their next crony schemes. At the 1835 Club, we make lobbying safe and legal. Ethics. Why, of course. All business is done in an ethical manner. Just look for the sign above the door that reads, loophole. Are you tired of the Capitol Police restricting your access to the roof after a perfectly good night of drinking? The 1835 Club has libations and a perfectly good roof. Other crony clubs that promise discretion try to lure you in by advertising bars made out of aeroplanes. Well, at the 1835 Club, instead of an airplane fuselage, we've got a space shuttle. No, not a bar. We've got an actual space shuttle that makes a daily run to the moon so members of the 1835 Club can have some real privacy away from the bloggers and taxpayers. Are you an Arkansas aristocrat? Do you want to be? It's the 1835 Club, and we work tirelessly to make sure the good old boy system remains alive and well. Join today.
Disclaimer. The 1835 Club reserves the right to deny membership to anyone who has principles. Any talk of the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution must be done in jest or, at the very least, with a condescending tone. And finally, the 1835 Club will be given a 25% commission of any agreements made between politicians and the business community.
PHP Parody. If you would like information about advertising or supporting the Paul Harrell Program and Conduit Media Group, call 870-275-9755. Join the fight against big government and advance the preservation of liberty by calling 870-275-9755. The Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
All right, Joe. I just want to recognize our producer, Joe. He's been here 1 year. Joe, you've been here 1 year.
Yeah, today is 1 year.
1 year anniversary. I just want to thank you for working here and making so much of this show possible, man, because we couldn't do it. I couldn't do it without you.
I still remember when you called me asking me if I wanted to work for you, because when I said yes, and I said yes almost immediately, you were like, wait.
I thought you were going to be like, I'll have to think about it.
No.
You know, that's what I thought.
I was actually, at the time, I was in the process of looking for a second job.
Okay, well, there we go.
When you called me and said, hey, do you want to work for me? I said yes immediately. You were like, oh.
So off the cuff interview kind of thing. So what have you learned? I mean, I know you were kind of conservative minded before you came working here, but I mean, do you have a different perspective than you thought? I mean, what do you think about the issues? I mean, because for the first while you just had to listen to me ramble for hours.
Yeah, I don't think I have a very different point of view than I had before. It's just some of the beliefs I had before are just more solidified now. I'm very much more skeptical of a lot of legislative decisions and things that are said to me from the higher points of power. So governor, legislatures, just anything in general that's part of the government. I now have more of a skeptic view of it. I look at it through jaded eyes, if you want to call it.
You don't necessarily assume that you're being told the truth.
Exactly. And if I really want to know, if I'm looking at something and I'm being told something, and if I really want to know the truth and I just go search for it, I can usually find the truth somewhere in there or a form of the truth. Because let's be honest, there's the old quote, there's 3 versions to every story, yours, mine, and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is in there somewhere. You just got to pick through the bones and find it.
Yeah. That's really encouraging to hear because, I mean, you know, I don't know how you could work on a limited government conservative talk radio program and not have your views, you know, more solidified if you're already conservative. It'd be kind of hard if you were just like a Bernie Sanders liberal that thought we should just divide everybody's money up.
A bleeding heart liberal.
Yeah, that'd be really weird, you know? You you would like really, you would really need the money. It'd be like torture. You'd be like somebody like, yeah, I'll get tortured at my job every day, and because see, I mean, honestly,
wake up every day going, oh, I gotta go to work.
There'd be some people. There would be some people that would say, well, would you if you had a leftist leaning producer, would you let them talk? And I mean, the answer is no. No, I wouldn't. I'd let a leftist politician that actually has power come on here and talk, but I don't think I would, because I just wouldn't. It would be too annoying to me. We have
now that's been 1 year. I must tell you something, Paul.
My point is I got stuff to get to. I don't need to be worried about. We're fighting Republicans, in the own party who don't understand what limited government conservatism is. I don't have time to waste on Democrats who don't know what it is. Even though Democrats are always welcome in this program, and there have been, a few that have come on. But anyway, Joe, happy anniversary. Thank you so
Paul.
much.
And thank you for everyone listening. I really appreciate you guys listening.
Absolutely. Thank you for working here. Folks, that's all the time we have for today. We will have another broadcast ready for you tomorrow at 4. Arkansas, we can't do the program without you. Buy our Liberty Machine t-shirts at paulharrell.com. Click on store. Arkansas, be safe.